When we heard that you were able to make the trip, I was really excited to talk to you because obviously we've seen what this whole Colin Kaepernick situation has turned into, the anthem protest, and you spoke to him very early on in this process. What was that initial conversation like?
Well, I mean, it was interesting. It was a tumultuous time for sure, and it was like everybody had an opinion about this thing. People were upset. People were, on his team, against him. It was like it became this very two-sided, divisive issue, like everything is becoming in our country right now, very sadly. And I just wanted to listen to the guy, hear him out, have a conversation, try to find a way that together, even though we disagreed. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm defending somebody that I disagree with because I support the rights. Those are rights that I fought for. Everyone on this ship fought for. Whether we agree with them or not is not what matters. And I just wanted to listen, try to gain some perspective. I mean, until I went overseas, I didn't have perspective of what it was actually like over there. So same type of thing, and then try to work together, finding a way to move the conversation forward, but also move that action forward, and bring our country back together. That's what I want to do more than anything.
According to numerous reports, first of all, thank you for being here. According to numerous reports, you had a problem. You felt it was disrespectful when he initially sat. And according to the reports, you were one of the people that sort of had an influence upon him in terms of his willing to kneel as opposed to sitting down. For the audience out there, for Americans everywhere, could you explain the difference in your mind between kneeling and sitting?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, the reports, they're interesting. I mean, a lot of people, I think they thought I was encouraging him to protest, or that I was saying, Colin, you should protest social injustices by taking a knee, and that is not the case. He was sitting. I was hurt by that, I think, more than I saw it as disrespectful. It just kind of hurt me. So through that conversation, we talked about different ways to demonstrate, what that might mean to people in my community, in the military community. And I thought kneeling showed reverence in some way and respect in some way to those that fought, and many of those that gave their life for what the flag and the anthem represents. People take a knee to pray. Anybody, almost anybody, stand in front of your wife-to-be, you get down on a knee and you ask for her hand in marriage out of respect and reverence for her. So I thought it looked more proactive. I thought it was important that he was alongside his teammates, embracing his brothers, whether they agreed with him or not, but also, showing that he was willing to give a little bit in some way and willing to sort of lay down his arms. And I thought it just for me, it felt more of this proactive, respectful way.
What you just explained, did you explain it exactly like that to Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah. I mean, when we sat down, Eric Reed was sitting there with us in the room, and it was like, I could tell in that moment he was a little bit nervous, not only to have that conversation with me, but this thing blew up so quick, and I think it was turned into much more than he thought it would. And I don't know if he expected the blowback, but I mean, that's what happens when you take a stand.
First of all, also thank you for being here. I think that you are, Nate, a significant figure at this moment of American history, actually, because I thought that your message, I just want to say this and then we'll talk. I've been meaning to say this to you on air. I thought that your message was such an important one at this time in our history, where sides are entrenched and want to remain ideologically pure. And your ideology seems to be, we're American. So it's not, as you just said, it's not about the content of what you're saying. It's about your right to say it, and we should be civil toward one another and listen to one another. It's when people get emotional and dig in and don't want to consider the other point of view, because those people have feelings. And whether or not they're right or wrong on the merit of the issue, their feelings are valid. So be respectful of their feelings and try to talk to each other. And I think part of the problem is people on each side see a compromise as selling out in some way. Because when you get entrenched emotionally, if you make a compromise, you're selling out. Whereas right. You guys came up with a very interesting compromise. I know some people on one side say, well, no, Nate just co-opted the protest because kneeling is such a sign of deference. And others might say, oh, don't let Kaepernick get away with that, make him stand. But in fact, you guys came up, a universal sign of respect is to kneel in almost any culture I've ever heard of. So I appreciate that and thank you for that. What do you think about the basic issue now, though, of players, on the one hand, people say you have to stand, and on the others, people say, for example, I'll say, just don't make it compulsory. Let them, take away the protest. Let them stand inside. Don't make them come out onto the field and participate in this ceremony, and then there wouldn't be an issue. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I love the fact that we play that song at sporting events. And we've been doing it since the World Series and during World War I, 100 years ago, 1917. And the Star-Spangled Banner became our national anthem partly because it was so popular that it was played at these sporting events, and it was done to honor the military originally. So that's an important distinction. But also, I want everybody to stand because they want to, because they feel represented, appropriately, and they feel that this is just and a fair place. It's never going to be perfect. Racism will always exist everywhere in the world, and that is terrible. But that is a reality. However, if they don't believe that most of our country and the way that our representatives are leading us are taking into their account grievances and what they feel is important and feeling like they are always part of the conversation and they do matter in the same way, then I can understand not feeling that pride, not wanting to stand for